You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
I am back. Rodrance for Black and White Sports. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Like, comment, share. Check us out on Pod. All the audio from all of our videos is available wherever you get your podcast from. Let's jump straight into Jalen Carter, the number 9 overall pick by the Philadelphia Eagles. He was, by most draft pundits' estimations, the absolute most talented player in this past NFL draft. But he has a laundry list of issues. Just yesterday, I did a video where we found out that his former University of Georgia offensive lineman teammate who passed away, along with a Georgia staffer who passed away in what seemed to be an auto accident related to possibly racing and Jalen Carter late at night. And we don't know how much, if there was alcohol, maybe there was. We know that the driver of the vehicle that Devin Willock was in was absolutely intoxicated. We've got Jalen Carter. He left the scene. Well, we've got a couple of new things now. And by the way, Jalen Carter is named in this lawsuit, and he's being directly sued for $10 million. Devin Willock's father is simple in this. My son was going to the NFL, and you robbed us of our son, and you also robbed my son and everybody involved of a lifestyle that everybody had worked hard to achieve. Okay, so we've got the lawsuit. Now, we know the Bears had the number 1 overall draft pick, and they traded away the pick over to the Panthers so that they could get Bryce Young. But they could have kept the pick, and they could have taken Jalen Carter. And they chose not to do that, and now Ryan Poles has come out, made comments about the fact that he did not feel like Jalen Carter would come into that locker room, and Ryan Poles is trying to be somewhat politically correct in his wording, but he blatantly says culture. He did not want the Bears' culture, that young locker room, to be ruined by Jalen Carter. Now, before we get to that, this has come out right here involving Jalen Carter from a few days ago. I'm not going to play the music because it'll get copyrighted. But this is him in blood gang colors right here. Let me just turn this down. And this is getting some heat, as you can expect, particularly, and this is like a rap video or whatever, but he's still catching heat because at the end of the day, this is gang colors, okay? And you're an NFL player, you're going into the league, people expect you to be an adult. This is not considered adult behavior, at least not where I come from. So, Marcellus Wiley. Now, I'm a big fan of Marcellus Wiley. He's always gone against the grain. He's always gone against what the mainstream media wants him to think. And by the way, he's got a YouTube channel. Go subscribe to it. He did come out and make some comments. Now, he played for the Buffalo Bills and the Dallas Cowboys. It should be noted, Marcellus Wiley does not subscribe to the fact that your neighborhood holds you back from actually becoming something very successful. He doesn't buy that crap. He doesn't. You want to know why? He was very successful. ESPN, Fox Sports, and Marcellus is from Compton, California. That's all that needs to be said. Let's check out what he says here about Jalen Carter, because he did make some brief comments.
Is this nothing, something, or everything? This is something. I don't think he's repping blood gang. Now, I don't act like, since I'm from Compton, I know every single gang all across America. It's not that he's banging blood gang. Even though it's not gangster what he's doing, it's gang-ish. Survivor's remorse is on full display right now. They not only survived whatever conditions they went through, and sometimes they didn't even go through it. I survived it, and now I'm thriving in it. But guess what? I feel like I'm leaving my people behind. The symbolism in this situation is to show
I mean, look, he's absolutely right. A lot of these players They can never get ahead because they're not willing to leave people behind and the bad influences. We've seen this over and over and over again. So let's get to the Bears now, because there were some pretty telling comments made by the Bears general manager, Ryan Poles. This is Larry Brown Sports, and he just comes out and says this is why they passed on Jalen Carter. Pretty interesting indeed. Bears general manager Ryan Poles offered some significant insight into the team's decision to pass on Carter, who was the subject of off-field concerns in the lead-up to the draft. Poles essentially admitted that he had concerns about Carter fitting into the culture the team is trying to build. Well, any team is trying to build good culture, and when you say you're worried about the fit of the culture, you're saying, I don't want to bring this player in and tank our young team. Yikes. I mean, that's right, wrong. And don't get me wrong. Do I believe the infrastructure of the Eagles is set up better because he's got ex-Georgia teammates up there? Yes. And they got a good owner. They got a good general manager. And I get that. Okay? The fact is, if Jalen Carter's going to succeed, it will be with the Eagles. Okay? But at the end of the day, you still have an NFL general manager telling you we didn't draft what was generally believed to be the best player in the draft because we didn't want him to tank our culture. That's a strong indictment of how I would guess. I mean, he dropped all the way to 9. At least 8 teams felt the same way. Okay? Quote, I will say our culture is important. I'll say that we know where our roster is right now and what it can handle and what it can't handle. And I think that's part of being in an intelligent space. Poles said on 670 The Score's Bernstein and Holden show, I'm happy with the decision we made, specifically on Jalen. I think he went to a fantastic place that has their cement dried and their foundation is what it is with a ton of leaders. In other words, the Bears is still a young team and trying to forge its own identity. I mean, right, wrong, or indifferent, that's still not great for Jalen Carter at all. For an NFL general manager to say, and look, you can sugarcoat it all you want, but he basically said, look, this player was probably the number 1 most talented player in the draft. But with all of his issues, we didn't want him to tank our locker room. That's the peel back the layers version of what he just gave you the more PC version of what he was really thinking. We thought this guy could be a potential troublemaker. We didn't want to bring him in our locker room. I mean, let's just be real. We're honest on this channel. All right. We give you the non-ESPN version of this shit, right? So this is pretty wild. And it seems, and we're seeing the lawsuit, we're seeing this situation with Jalen Carter could continue to spiral downhill. We'll see how this works out. That video, that's a poor decision to make. You're the number 1 overall player in the draft, and it may have been prior to the draft. But if you know you're coming to the NFL and you know everything that's put on video in this day and time can get out there, then it's nothing short of a complete knucklehead decision. And if you were influenced by other people to do it, like Marcellus Wiley said, then you got to cut those people out like a cancer. Plain and simple. Get around better people if it is an influence situation. We'll see how this plays out. There have been players that's come in the league that's had issues that turned their life around. Warren Sapp is one I can think of. Now, he had some issues after retirement, allegedly. But as a player, he was a total badass. The locker room loved him, and he wrecked shop. And he proved to everybody that passed on him wrong. Jalen Carter, you're up, dude. I mean, plain and simple. Tell me what you think, Black and White Sports supporters. Would you have drafted Jalen Carter? There's not a chance in the pit of hell I would have. Just being honest. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.